In Hollywood, friendships often disappear as quickly as movie contracts expire. Co-stars smile for cameras, promise to stay close, and then quietly move on. That's why the friendship between Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston stands out. It isn't loud, public, or designed for headlines. It exists in small, meaningful actions that most people never notice. Every year on Mother's Day, while social media floods with photos of brunches, flowers, and family celebrations, Jennifer Aniston receives flowers from Adam Sandler. There's no Instagram post, no caption, no attempt to turn it into a moment. Just flowers, delivered quietly, year after year. At first, the gesture seems simple. Flowers are common. They don't usually raise eyebrows. But when Jennifer finally shared the reason behind this tradition, the meaning completely changed. These flowers were never about celebrating motherhood. They were about acknowledging something far more personal. For years, Jennifer Aniston lived under intense public scrutiny. Fans and tabloids constantly questioned her life choices, especially when it came to having children. People assumed they knew her story, even though they didn't. What the public didn't see was the emotional weight Jennifer carried while trying to build a life that felt complete to her. Adam Sandler understood this in a way most people didn't. He wasn't reacting to headlines. He wasn't responding to rumors. He was responding to a friend's reality. Sending flowers on Mother's Day wasn't meant to remind Jennifer of what she didn't have. It was meant to show her that someone saw her struggle without forcing her to relive it. Jennifer later revealed that Adam and his wife had been sending her flowers every single year. Not once, not occasionally, every year. That consistency is what makes the gesture powerful. It shows thought, awareness, and emotional intelligence. Adam didn't ask questions. He didn't offer advice. He simply showed support in the quietest way possible. In an industry where gestures are often performative, this one feels genuine. There's no audience for it, no benefit, just understanding. For Jennifer, those flowers weren't about sadness. They were about feeling acknowledged on a day that could be emotionally complicated. This small tradition became a symbol of their friendship. It showed that real support doesn't always come in words. Sometimes, it comes in silence. Sometimes, it arrives at your door when you least expect it, reminding you that someone hasn't forgotten what you went through. For years, Jennifer Aniston's personal life was treated like public property. Every interview, every appearance, and every relationship seemed to invite the same question from the outside world. People wanted to know when she would become a mother, as if the answer was owed to them. What most didn't realize was that Jennifer wasn't avoiding that path. She was actively trying, quietly, and with more determination than anyone imagined. Jennifer later revealed that she went through IVF and explored alternative treatments over several years. It wasn't a short experiment or a casual attempt. It was a long, emotionally draining process filled with hope, disappointment, and physical exhaustion. She tried different approaches, followed medical advice, and held on to the belief that eventually things might work out. Each attempt carried optimism, and each setback carried its own emotional weight. What made the situation even harder was the constant speculation surrounding her life. Headlines painted narratives that weren't true. Strangers assumed her priorities. Rumors suggested she chose career over family, ignoring the reality that she was fighting a deeply personal battle behind closed doors. That disconnect between perception and truth created a silent pressure that followed her everywhere. Jennifer admitted that the years of gossip and public judgment made an already difficult journey even heavier. While she was dealing with treatments and uncertainty, she was also expected to smile, perform, and answer invasive questions with grace. The emotional toll of that combination is something few people ever experienced. At one point, Jennifer reflected that she wished someone had given her clearer advice earlier in life. She spoke about how timing matters, and how certain decisions feel obvious only in hindsight. But life doesn't come with instructions, and she made choices based on what she knew at the time. Eventually, Jennifer reached a moment where she accepted that the outcome she hoped for wasn't going to happen. That acceptance didn't come easily. It followed years of trying, waiting, and wondering. But when it finally arrived, it brought an unexpected sense of relief. She no longer had to live in uncertainty or chase unanswered questions. Mother's Day, however, remained emotionally complex. It's a celebration that can highlight joy for some while quietly reopening wounds for others. For Jennifer, it was a reminder of a chapter filled with effort, resilience, and loss. Understanding that context makes Adam Sandler's yearly gesture far more meaningful. The flowers weren't sent to reopen that chapter. They were sent to acknowledge the strength it took to live through it. It also reframes Jennifer's story in a way the public rarely considers. Her journey wasn't defined by what she didn't become, but by what she endured and how she grew. Quiet perseverance, emotional honesty, and resilience shaped her path. Those years revealed strength rather than absence, courage rather than failure, and acceptance rather than defeat. That perspective is often missing from public conversations, yet it's essential to understanding why compassion, not commentary, mattered most during that time. Image when Jennifer Aniston finally spoke about how she feels today, many people expected sadness, frustration, or lingering pain. Instead, what she shared caught almost everyone off guard. She said she has zero regrets. After years of trying, hoping, and waiting, she reached a place of emotional clarity that few people ever talk about. Jennifer explained that the most exhausting part of her journey wasn't just the treatments or the setbacks. It was living in a constant state of uncertainty. The endless maybe. Maybe this time it will work. Maybe next year will be different. Maybe things will still change. That mental loop followed her for years, quietly draining her energy and peace. Letting go of that uncertainty was not giving up. It was choosing herself. When Jennifer accepted that the outcome she once hoped for wasn't going to happen, she didn't feel empty. She felt relief. There was no longer a question hanging over her future. No more waiting for an answer that might never come. For the first time in a long time, she felt grounded. This shift in perspective changed how she viewed her life. Jennifer no longer measured fulfillment by what society expected from her. She stopped defining herself through external milestones and focused instead on the life she had already built. Her career, her relationships, her sense of independence, and her emotional growth all became part of that definition. That's why Adam Sandler's Mother's Day flowers matter so much in this context. They don't interrupt her healing. They don't pull her backward. They quietly align with the peace she found. The gesture doesn't say, "You missed out." It says, "I understand your journey, and I respect where you landed." Jennifer's openness also shifted the conversation for many women watching her story unfold. She showed that acceptance doesn't mean failure. It means choosing not to let unanswered questions control your future. It means recognizing that a meaningful life doesn't follow a single blueprint. There's strength in knowing when to stop chasing an outcome that no longer serves you. Jennifer's honesty gave people permission to rethink what fulfillment looks like, not as something granted by circumstance, but as something created through self-awareness and emotional resilience. In that light, Adam's quiet support feels perfectly timed. He didn't step in during the chaos with advice or solutions. He remained present after the noise faded. That kind of support respects boundaries. It honors healing rather than interrupting it. Jennifer didn't need encouragement to keep trying. She needed understanding in choosing peace. And that's exactly what her friend offered. No explanations, no reminders, just consistency. This moment in Jennifer's story reframes everything that came before it. The struggle didn't disappear. It transformed. It became a source of strength rather than pain. And through that transformation, her friendship with Adam Sandler took on even deeper meaning, showing that the best support often arrives quietly, stays steady, and never asks to be seen.
Adam Sandler is known worldwide for his humor, but people close to him often describe a very different side of his personality. Behind the jokes and comedy roles is someone deeply loyal, emotionally aware, and consistent in how he treats the people he cares about. That side of Adam is exactly what makes his friendship with Jennifer Aniston so meaningful. Adam is a father of 2 daughters, and Mother's Day holds personal importance in his own life. He understands the joy attached to the day, but he also understands that it doesn't feel the same for everyone. That awareness separates empathy from obligation. Instead of assuming celebration looks identical for all, Adam recognizes that certain days can carry layered emotions. Sending flowers to Jennifer every Mother's Day wasn't about drawing attention to the day itself. It was about acknowledging her experience without forcing conversation or reopening emotional wounds. There was no message attached asking how she felt, no reminder of the past, just a gesture that quietly said, "I'm thinking of you." That kind of support is rare. Many people either avoid uncomfortable topics completely or approach them with too much commentary. Adam chose a third option, presence without pressure. By repeating the gesture every year, he removed any awkwardness. It became normal, reliable, safe. Consistency is often overlooked when people talk about friendship, but it's one of the most powerful forms of care. Adam didn't show up once and disappear. He didn't stop when the headlines faded. He kept showing up quietly, Even when no one was watching, this approach fits Adam's personality. He's never been known for dramatic public statements or emotional speeches. His actions usually speak for him. In Jennifer's case, those actions created a sense of stability on a day that could otherwise feel complicated. There's also an important level of respect in what Adam didn't do. He didn't offer advice. He didn't try to reframe her experience or suggest how she should feel. He didn't treat her story like something that needed fixing. He simply acknowledged it and let her own her emotions. So for Jennifer, that kind of understanding matters. It allows her to receive support without feeling pitted or exposed. It keeps the focus on friendship rather than circumstance. In an industry where relationships are often transactional, Adam's behavior feels grounded and genuine. He didn't benefit from this gesture. There was no image boost or public praise attached to it. In fact, most people didn't even know about it until Jennifer mentioned it herself. That's what makes the story resonate. It highlights a form of kindness that doesn't ask for recognition. It exists quietly, year after year, rooted in empathy rather than obligation. Adam Sandler's role in Jennifer's life during this chapter wasn't about changing her story. It was about respecting it. And sometimes, the most meaningful support isn't about doing something big. It's about doing something small, consistently, with intention. That quiet reliability can be more powerful than any speech, because it reminds someone that they are understood, valued, and not alone, even on days that bring complicated emotions. Friendships in Hollywood often come with expiration dates. Projects end, schedules change, and people drift apart without conflict or closure. That's why the bond between Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston feels so different. It wasn't built on convenience or publicity. It grew slowly, through time, trust, and shared experiences that extended far beyond movie sets. Adam and Jennifer didn't just work together. They watched each other evolve. They saw each other succeed, struggle, and navigate personal changes while the world observed from a distance. That long-term familiarity created something rare in the industry: comfort. Neither had to perform for the other. There were no expectations to maintain an image or prove loyalty publicly. Their friendship survived career highs and personal lows because it was rooted in mutual respect. Jennifer has often been portrayed as endlessly resilient, but real resilience comes from having people who don't demand strength from you all the time. Adam became one of those people. Someone who didn't ask questions when answers were difficult. Someone who didn't disappear when life became complicated. What makes their friendship especially meaningful is its normalcy. Jennifer didn't describe Adam's Mother's Day gesture as dramatic or emotional. She mentioned it casually, almost in passing. That detail says everything. It suggests the gesture didn't feel extraordinary to her because it fit naturally into how Adam had always shown up in her life. In an industry where personal moments are often turned into public narratives, their bond remained largely private. There were no viral posts or staged appearances reinforcing it. It existed quietly, supported by consistency rather than commentary. That privacy protected the friendship from outside pressure and allowed it to stay genuine. Adam's flowers didn't become a symbol because they were grand. They became meaningful because they were steady. The same gesture, repeated year after year, reinforced trust. It showed Jennifer that she didn't need to explain herself or relive her past to be understood. That kind of friendship doesn't form overnight. It requires patience, emotional awareness, and the willingness to stay present even when there's nothing to gain. Adam didn't support Jennifer to be seen as kind. He supported her because that's what real friends do. Their connection challenges the idea that Hollywood relationships are shallow or temporary. It proves that authenticity can exist even in spaces driven by image and attention. And it reminds people that sometimes the strongest bonds are the ones that don't seek validation. When you look at Adam and Jennifer's friendship through this lens, the Mother's Day flowers become more than a gesture. They become a reflection of years of shared understanding, years of showing up without needing credit, years of choosing empathy over explanation. That's why this story resonates. It isn't about a single act of kindness. It's about the quiet strength of a friendship that refused to fade. And in a world where most connections are fleeting, that kind of loyalty stands out as something deeply rare and worth remembering. The story of Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston isn't a typical Hollywood headline. It's not about drama, gossip, or flashy gestures. Instead, it's about empathy, consistency, and the quiet power of understanding a friend's journey. The flowers Adam sends every Mother's Day are simple on the surface, yet their meaning runs much deeper. They show that support doesn't always have to be loud to be meaningful. Sometimes, quiet, consistent presence speaks louder than words ever could. Jennifer's experience highlights why this gesture matters. Her struggle with infertility, the years of treatments, the hope, and the setbacks all happened under the public eye. While tabloids speculated and fans asked questions, she faced emotional challenges most people can barely imagine. And yet, Adam's flowers weren't about pity. They weren't about telling her what she should do or how she should feel. They were about acknowledging her humanity, her resilience, and the complexity of her experience without asking anything in return. That distinction is crucial. True support often goes unnoticed because it doesn't demand recognition. Adam's gesture exists outside the spotlight. It doesn't need validation or public acknowledgement. He simply shows up, year after year, and that repetition alone communicates loyalty, care, and respect. For Jennifer, this meant she had a friend who understood her journey without judgment, offering comfort at a moment that could have been complicated or painful. The broader lesson resonates with everyone because it reflects something universal. Life isn't just made up of grand moments and visible triumphs. It's also made up of quiet gestures, unseen sacrifices, and acts of empathy that go unnoticed by the world but matter deeply to those who receive them. Adam Sandler's flowers symbolize all of these elements: the acknowledgement of struggle, the consistency of support, and the simplicity of showing up when it matters most. Their story also challenges the public perception of Hollywood relationships. In an industry often defined by fleeting connections and transactional bonds, Adam and Jennifer's friendship stands as proof that long-lasting, meaningful relationships are possible. It's a reminder that loyalty, care, and genuine empathy can exist even in environments that seem shallow or performative. Ultimately, the Mother's Day flowers are more than a physical gesture. They represent understanding without explanation, support without expectation, and love without conditions. They are a testament to the type of friendship that lasts decades, one that grows deeper over time and transcends circumstance, career, and public perception. This story resonates not just because it involves celebrities but because it reflects a truth everyone can relate to. The most profound acts of kindness often come in subtle, quiet ways. They don't need recognition to be powerful. And the strongest bonds don't require performance or validation, just presence, consistency, and empathy. Adam Sandler's simple, annual gesture reminds the world that genuine friendship has the power to heal, comfort, and uplift, even without words, headlines, or applause. In a way, it proves that sometimes the quietest gestures leave the deepest impact, and those are the ones people remember forever.